Hi guys, it's good to have you guys again today, and this is a interactive solution, the talk show where we do the hard talk, where we take the bull by the horns, and where we address issues the way they should be addressed. The guys who come on here, they shoot from the waist, and then we don't take hostages. We drop everything here on the floor of the studio before we leave. Today is another interesting topic. We have teamed. Like we said, our topics are now teamed so that we have series of talks under a given theme. Family politics. Today is, should families influence who we marry? This question sits at an intersection between love, culture, and control. On the one hand, you have a family who feel they know you, they know everything about you. They saw you growing up, they've seen your red flags and all those. And then in this context, family feels that marriage is not just between two individuals. Marriage is consummated between families. So when it comes to the question of who you marry, they feel that they have every right and they owe you all the obligations to chime in with their contributions, with their pressure, if you call it that, in deciding who you marry. On the other hand, you see love is a personal thing. You know, somebody goes out, sees somebody he or she loves, and feels that, yeah, I've seen the bone of my bone and the flesh of my flesh. And in the course of it, family comes in with their pressure or with their contribution or with their advice. At the end of the day, if this pressure becomes too much, that it becomes like a control, it could trigger off kind of feelings and a kind of resentment that may actually affect the relationship between families and the couple. So, where is the balance in this? And that is why we are here today. We want to see how intending couples, intending couples, how families should be able to, play the role they should play, but at the same time maintain the balance that can help the fledgling and then the growing couple, be not just as individual persons, but as a whole upcoming family on their own. So this is why we need you. It's not just we're not just making this video for intending couples. We are talking to parents and families alike so that they know when they have crossed certain lines. They should know when it is no more healthy for them to go beyond where they are. And also the intending couple, so that they should also know that the family is not overbearing in the sense of it, but they are just trying to make sure that you find yourself within a comfort zone that will make you enjoy your marriage. So that is why we're here today. And I know that there are so many people out there who may have felt this challenge or may have gone through this challenge. There are also intending couples who likely go through this challenge. So we are trying to help to bring this thing to light so that people can have knowledge and understanding, and which will help them make decisions that will not just help them as couple, but also help their immediate family in knowing certain boundaries that are not supposed to be crossed. Because in the course of trying to advise, trying to influence, you may cross some boundaries that will ordinarily trigger off resentment, trigger off a kind of feelings that will no more even help the couple to live together in a harmonious relationship. So today, should families influence who we marry? We urge you guys to come around, be with us on this show. If you've had a situation like that, if you've gone through such an experience, let us know. People make mistakes when others do not give them the benefit of their own experience. We end up making mistakes. So, but when you put everything to air and to sunlight, people will be availed with the necessary information, and experience to guide them through such a delicate patch. So if you've had the pressure of having come under such a kind of influence, or if you were able to walk through it without having anybody tell you this is this and this is that, we would like you to share your experience with us. Do us a note, write your contribution on the screen so that people will get to know how you were able to walk through that delicate part safely. It helps. One thing about life is that when knowledge is cumulative, when you release what you have gone through as your knowledge, somebody could learn off it and become a better person for it. So the essence of this talk show is not just to entertain ourselves or entertain anybody. We are here to bring across information that others may not have had access to. We are here to help you, walk over some difficult patches. It's not as if to say we're experts. We are not. But the information I have, you may not have. But when I share my information with you and you are able to take that information and add it to what you already know, it makes you a much more informed, a better informed person. So don't think that this is a set of experts who like to talk through issues that may not be of any real concern to them. But I know that we are not ignorant at the same time. So, but the essence of all these talks we do here is just to make persons better persons. Have the information that life experiences have made possible for you. And when you do that and you share with others, you cross-pollinate ideas, people will end up being better for it. So today, as always, we have the guys who always step onto the template and do what they should do. And when they do that, we go home, everybody goes home, better for it. We go home being better equipped to face the challenges of the challenges of life that situations we described or we talked about could bring up. And when you face such situations, with the information you have, with the right information, you'll be able to walk across such paths. Even where angels fear to tread, you could walk through them boldly because you are better equipped with the right information. So that is why whenever we are talking, we ask you to come with your contributions so that people who are watching can also learn of you and be better informed about these challenges of life. Mr. Kinsley, thank you as always. You're always there for us and you always come with your contributions. Thank you very much. We appreciate all that you've been doing for us on this podcast, on this show. Thank you very much. We really appreciate that. So having said that, for those of you who are still not tuned in with the show, we urge you to come on so that we can do the due diligence on this matter. There are so many information people need to know, and they cannot know it when you do not talk. It's only when you talk and people hear your own side of the story and they can be better informed about what they are walking into. Marriage is not just about, it's not always an easy thing to contract. But when you go in there and you are serious about making it work, then you really have to put in the effort to make it work. So that is why we are here. If you want to make your marriage work, we are here to try to walk you through such rough patches. And as you do that, you have a much better environment to live in. Because the environment of marriage is the environment of love and emotional balance and mental health balance. When you do that, you'll be a much better person. So Mr. Nadi is knocking on my door. Once he comes in, kicking on this. So yeah, William Mary is also here. So we bring them in. As you come in, we'll bring you in. Yeah, Mr. Nadi, how are you?
Iti,
Yeah, Mr. Nadi, how are you?
I am very good. I don't know if you can see me.
I can't see you. It's been a while we saw
Okay.
each other
Oh,
last.
yeah, I remember. That's true.
Yeah, so it's been a challenge that we think when you're married, you're welcome. I try to get across to you guys.
Oman Ben
Yeah.
Salah. Senior man.
Yeah.
But I agreed.
I did
Yeah.
this patient.
Just
Yeah.
just showing up right away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We
Exactly.
missed you. We missed you
I
last
called
week.
you. I called you guys, and I tried to, set across information to tell you guys that our time is here, and I don't know if you guys saw my messages.
No,
Yeah.
I just saw the greetings from you.
Yeah, okay.
Right.
Onyemere, I called you. I sent you a note, and at the same time, I called you.
Okay. Maybe my phone was a little bit low, but I think I am charging it now. But it's okay. I'm using
Okay.
another phone, so
Okay. So we
yeah.
can go on now. I've tried to tell our audience the
Yeah.
essence of all this. The essence of this is not just there are so many people out there who are planning to go into the marital institution.
Yeah.
There are also parents of these people who are also eager to get involved. Now
Yeah.
you have a whole lot of things to learn of this podcast for those who are intending to get married and for those who are already married and are hoping to guide their children through the threshold into marriage life or married life. So this show is for not just them, but for the entire society at large. So, off the record, Mr. Nadi, can you just briefly tell us? Okay, I have a question for you, rather, Mr. Nadi. Onyemere,
Okay.
can you just give us a brief definition of what marriage is all about?
Hello.
Onyemere, are you there?
Yeah.
I just asked you to just give us a very, very brief definition of what marriage is all about, because that
Well,
is
I think I might be
that is
brief. I might be brief, but I think I might need. Maybe I can. It depends on the time, but I have to be brief as much as I can. I think.
yeah, just
I think I want to see marriage from the perspective of ancient time and modern time, because we are seeing a situation whereby modernity is playing an important role in marriage, as opposed to what happened in the ancient time. But in the ancient time, marriage was more or less like this rigid, sacred, lifelong union between a man and a man, or the couples that are involved. In a way that makes it difficult for communication to pass through across from the man to the woman, and in a way that makes the relationship a little bit top bottom relationship. And then
yeah,
the focus then was more of what they can get. What I can say that it was focusing more on what I termed social stability and inheritance in this olden time. In terms of what I see as social stability, marriage was meant more of maintaining social order and then cohesion within the community. And in this aspect, the poor person is oppressed and marginalized, because the poor person doesn't normally fit in this particular social order and cohesion within the family. Marriage was seen more as a tool of oppression towards the poor person, because it was difficult for a poor person to marry a wealthy person. And then this maintenance of social stability made it possible for them to form what I tend to see as this closely smaller social kinship and social need, that made it possible for a few people to marry each other as against the other people. Although that marriage was open for everybody, but it becomes impossible for you to marry into a what people normally call wealthy family now, because what defines wealth is still a mystery if we can flash backward and forward to how things have evolved. And then on the aspect of in the ancient time on marriage, focusing on inheritance, marriage was seen as more of a way of exclusively tied to the transferring of properties, transferring of wealth, and transferring of inheritance to the family. And then in this aspect, it kind of, marriage is not, I mean, in this context, marriage is more of perpetuating the family lineage, and then and also making sure that the properties and wealth are transferred across their generation. It goes back to that social stability I was talking about. And then in this context, marriage was more of arrangement between the couple, in the sense that the target of those arrangements was to secure the transfer of property and titles, but also to consolidate their resources, and also to strengthen the alliances. And all these things are still playing role in the society we're seeing today. And that brings into what I enjoy in the domain of law. And whenever we talk about equity, he who comes to equity must come with a clean hand. It comes from this issue of marriage. It comes from that issue of securing property. And who is called the trustor carries the property and trusts it to the trustee, waiting for the beneficiary, whom we didn't even know when the beneficiary is going to come, but eventually the beneficiary is going to come one day, and then waiting for the beneficiary to inherit the property from the trustee. But at a certain time, the trustee became corrupt, and then these things. It's still, I love that domain of law, because it pictures what marriage was all about in the world. But let's carry it along. And if we carry it along now, according to what I see as that marriage, that time, the primary purpose wasn't about mutual love. It wasn't about mutual consent. It wasn't about self-fulfillment. It wasn't about mutual respect. It was just about, let's protect the family lineage, and let's also maintain social and economic status. And it's still playing subtle role in what is happening in the community today, the ancient time of marriage definition. And then if we move back and forth, I still see what I put here as that purpose made the securing of the family name and maintenance of social and economic status possible. And that was the reason why the gender role was rigidly defined, whereby the man was seen more as the decision maker, but also as the breadwinner, and then the woman is seen more of the homemaker, and then the childbearer. So those aspects of rigid view of marriage carried on, and that was the patriarchal view of marriage, which was highly visible and highly influential within the church domain, and also within different cultural entities and cultural norms. And the highest emphasis about marriage then was just about procreation, was just about family lineage, and it was just about how we can secure this property and this wealth for the coming generation. And only few of them were thinking about what we can do with marriage in terms of love and mutual consent and voluntary way. But in today's marriage has evolved. Marriage has evolved to a large extent that today's marriage is a voluntary contractual relationship between a man and a woman, whereby they put into context their needs in terms of mutual respect, mutual consent, and then also understanding, mutual love, and then personal fulfillment. And that's one of the problem that is one of the things that is also missing that's one of the missing elements in the modern marriage, whereby the issue of not achieving the personal fulfillment is also always bringing a problem in marriage. And then if we look at that marriage in terms of mutual consent and whatever I have said now, we can see that the modern generation have more adaptable view or adaptable approach to marriage. And then we the modern people also acknowledge, but also state that there should be a change in marriage with the option of separation and divorce. We acknowledge it, we say it, but it's not that we want it. It's just what we acknowledge. It's what we acknowledge. So, but because if it gets toxic, the only solution to that marriage is just to separate or divorce. But then we look at it again as the marriage now can also be seen as a blend of ancient and modern view of marriage, in the sense that we have evolved and we have continued to evolve. On that context, marriage is just something that we've carried on. It has continuously evolved. It has been something that was something that was happening from the ancient time all through the modern time. If I look at what I say, the patriarchal social order, and what I call self-fulfillment, the patriarchal social order cares less about mutual consent. But the modern era cares more about mutual consent and voluntary way of agreeing to marry. And when two people are agreed to marry and voluntarily accept their contractual relationship, I think it is fair to see marriage as something that is bonded between them and should be respected. And if we look at what I also say as less focus on the rigid lifelong commitment, even though that some cultures are still practicing these things, we can see that evolutionary aspect of where marriage has continuously evolved, and we are adaptable. I myself foresee a future whereby the generations out there will continue to approach marriage through the lens of traditional way, modern way, and then the AI way. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. The AI way. AI is taking wings now, and they are really flying. Thank you very much, Onyemere, for that in-depth approach. Mr. Nnadi, against the backdrop of what we've heard now, do you still believe, based on where we are now, is parental approval necessary for a marriage to be successful?
Well, thank you. Thanks for the question. That question, the question actually sits in the intersections of culture, psychology, and the real life outcomes.
Yeah.
The honest answer is the approval helps, but not the foundations of successful marriages. If you read this book by Steve King, they call it The Good Marriage, where he actually was able to expand on how romance is always the initial start of marriage, but there is the shared values which supports this system, which sustains it. Just like Onyemere have just said, love alone, love by itself, can be very, very fragile. So this social approval, including the parental approval, it helps to sometimes stabilize the marriage. But sometimes this parental approval can also be very inappropriate. I mean, when it's being forced on the individual who is intending to get married, like when there was no genuine reason for disapproving somebody from getting married. You understand?
Yeah.
So what researchers actually said about this thing is that both sides are right. In collectivity, which is part of what Nigeria is practicing, where we have a collective society where the family in most cases are mostly included. There are reasons why this kind of collectivist society is applicable. It's not just an individual basis; it's based on the environment as well. Yeah, in such society where there is economic situations, marriage is not just about two people; it's about two families. And a lot of studies have actually shown that there is more of lower kind of divorce in such safety nets, where community where two identified families, kind of build that safety net around the new couple that is intending to get married. It actually helps to actually increase the tolerance in that relationship, like how to tolerate each other in times of conflict. And it helps to actually pressure people to stay in that marriage. So stronger intended family support system actually is also very, very useful, especially, in a kind of a collective environment where we come from, which is the African. And then the other hand, we have a society which is more individualistic. Like their culture is more individualistic, like what we have here in the UK and what we have in America. So marriage is more centered, is more centered towards personal choices, compatibility. Mr. T, if we diagnose this in the lens of psychologists, like let's just use the explanation from John Gottman, where he suggested that the strongest predictor of success, and it's not just love. It's not just I love this guy. It's not just the way I love him. It's actually conflict resolution skills. How you manage to resolve your conflict. That is what is the strongest predictors when you can use, like indicators that this marriage will succeed, or it's not because you love this man. This also dives into respect, emotional responsibilities, ability to repair after argument, like when you have arguments, how you are able to, come back again. And it's not just about love. And all of these indices does not have a list of parents. It didn't see me. John's suggestion did not include parents, but there are indices within that concept that having that parents around it can help. So because many marriages doesn't fail just because of the couples, but because of the family. Sometimes this family, they interfere. They want to get involved. They want to tell you things are not necessary. But one thing that is also important, even relating to what John analyzed in that book, he mentioned that even though this interference, some of them can be very toxic, but some of them can also be very, very useful. And that is where new people who are wanting to get married has to be very, very careful. Because on the side of the individualistics, it's the United Kingdom, where we have one in every 5 family have got it. One in every 2 families or something have got one divorce or 2 divorce in a lifetime, which is an individualistic, where people think is I just love this man, without understanding this parental canopy that may actually be able to identify certain red flags, which you that is emotionally just attached, maybe blindfolded or uncovered by emotion, not to be able to say it. I think the best approach to it is actually being able to balance it. Balance it.
Yeah.
So I want to give you the last before I leave it there. There's one widely cited, document by Robert Levins, where he mentioned that arranged marriage, where the family are positively involved, is showing equal or even high, long-lasting satisfactions compared to just like normal love marriage. So that in its own identify to you that sometimes this arranged marriage, if the intention of the family are not just based on their personal ego, because I think who's that this thing that mentioned that some parents, in most cases, they intend to give to their children what they feel themselves to do. Like if there are things that you didn't achieve within yourself, they in logic, some of them assume that their child will have to continue it without even knowing if that child has got that talent or has got that chance to be able to continue it. So from what Robert was saying, that if the parents are positively arranging these marriages, that anybody can go and make a research. It's very much cited. Everybody knows about this Roberts report. That most marriages whose parents is positively involved, it tends to last longer than those ones who are just fall in love. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll leave it there.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nadi. That was a very, very extensive and in-depth one. Thank you very much. Onye Mary, I come to you now on the basis of part of what Mr. Nadi said.
Yeah.
Love is fragile, and sometimes it is not enough.
Yeah.
And at the same time, when arrangement is positively directed, it could lead to success or successful marriages. So do you think that arranged marriages work better because families influence such marriages, or worse because love was missing?
I think if you followed my line of thought, I started. Can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Yeah, I started from the ancient time and moved to the modern time, and I specifically mentioned why these things were happening. Why, if you listen, then why the families were involved to that extent? Because many people were also naive about what was happening, you know. And then even in today's society, the poor people are pushed towards the edge of society because they see them as contributing nothing. It wasn't more of being involved. Like I kind of agree to what he said. Positively involved, meaning being supportive, being respectful. You understand? And when you're involved, being involved, if you're involved in a marriage, parents and family should be involved in a marriage in a very respectful way, in a very, very, very positive way, and in a very protective and supportive way that doesn't infringe on the fundamental rights of those that are married. And I am talking from the point of view of a parent, and all of us are parents also. So I think what we should be doing is not to influence the marriage badly. For me, love, as I said, love is the foundation. That's the biggest element in marriage. It's not money, it's not what you think, it's not what you want, but love is the biggest element in marriage. Anytime, any day, from my own experience. And another person's experience might be different. And like I said, if you've never fell in love, you might not understand the implication of love in marriage. You might see somebody you like, and then you might see another person you like. It might be that you have fallen in love to somebody, and I can tell you, respect in marriage stems from the fact that the woman or the man loves the person involved. Love is like this. Love comes before every other thing. Love might not be enough because when you arrange that marriage, it wasn't basically arranging in love. The parents also, they have a motive of arranging the marriage, not just, and the motive is usually something that the people getting involved in marriage don't even know. We are not in the age of somebody talking about properties and all of those things, although it's still happening. But what I'm saying is that love is like the gearbox and the engine of a car, whereas every other aspect is like the petrol, which means that if you don't have the engine and gearbox ready for a car, you cannot buy a car. And also you can have a sign that your petrol has finished, but still the car will be running. That means that if there's a conflict because of the elements of love in the marriage will have a basis for that conflict resolution. Because conflict resolution is not something you do, is something you do by yourself and not something you force it by outside. But also sometimes families can get involved in a conflict resolution when that conflict resolution is going beyond the two people involved. Because there are many cases of families being involved in what aspect, being involved to what extent, and being involved in what ways. So we're thinking about, we should promote, I think we should tell, if you have a girl, tell your child to make sure that they get somebody who they love and who they understand, because love enables you to build understanding. If there's no love, there's nothing going to be about understanding. And then the issue of divorce, the issue of family being involved, and then we're having less divorces because people are not divorcing in the modern marriage. If you will follow the line of thought, because of lack of love, it's because of what the law has stated. And the law says, if you divorce, you're going to be paid. You're going to be paid by the social, and they pay a lot of them. Even many Africans, who are exposed to that opportunity, are even more divorced than the people who are under the law, that particular law. If somebody sees somebody they like, if a girl sees somebody they love, and a man sees somebody they love, I think the parents should advise. They should get involved and advise and be supportive and be protective and be respectful to what they want. Because in the end, it's not the parents that are going to leave. It's the man and the woman that are going to live together. So if you influence it in a very ugly way or bad way, it's going to tell a lot. And most of what that research our brother is talking about also try to emphasize is that when you influence badly in any marriage, it will push to a situation of dissatisfaction in that marriage. Many people are still in the marriage, not because they want that marriage, but because they're still thinking about, they don't know where to go. But as long as those people from that particular area who are not exposed to law, as long as they are exposed to that law, and they see somebody who tells them how the law works, you will see that eventually the person will go, the person will start misbehaving. And when somebody starts misbehaving, you already know where the person is getting at. So in this issue, arranged marriage can work either way. But I wouldn't want to arrange marriage for my own child. I want my child I want God to give my child the person who loves my child. I don't need any, I don't want to influence them. Like I always say, I've said it before here. And again, another thing that is influencing marriage is when you're married and then somebody is marrying the family. And then it's also, the family burden can also contribute to affecting marriages negatively. There are several things. It's not just about what happens. We should encourage love first. Love is the foundation, and every other thing stems from love. Somebody who will respect you is respecting you, because sometimes even in England, you can slap somebody. In England, you can slap a woman, but because she loves you, she will just keep it low. But somebody who doesn't love you, if you slap the person, I am telling you that you're going to pay with your last penny. So we should encourage this love and also get minimally involved. What I mean by minimally involved is that you don't want to tell, here, we have 18-year-old girl as a woman. And you see an 18-year-old girl, the way she reasons, the way she thinks, but because of some cultures of over pampering, even 40-year-old person is still behaving like a 17-year-old or 16-year-old person, just because of our involvement in that person's life. The person wouldn't even know the expectation of responsibilities for that person, all because the person is also fully dependent on the parents. The issue of getting out when somebody is 18 years, we still have some benefits in that culture. Getting out when you're 18 years and then working hard is not available in some particular culture. So what I'm saying here, in just a little bit of tentative conclusion, is that arrangement works in different ways, but I wouldn't encourage arranging marriage for people. It has worked horribly bad for a lot of people, and I can say there's just a tiny number of people that can say that they're there, probably because of the property they're going to inherit, as I said before, and probably because of the assets that were left to inherit. They're not there because the law is controlling the marriage. So it all depends on what somebody puts in focus about marriage. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Oyemere. Thank you. That's he wouldn't subscribe to arranging marriages for his children. Thank you very much. I'd like to appreciate those who are watching us at the moment. Kingsley Eze, Zerubbabel Zadok, Pali Sentence, and Ijoma Jennifer, Mrs. Ife Nwawafo, Gideon Agorada, then Ndubisi Eze. Thank you guys for keeping us company. Mr. Nadi, this question comes to you. You just said what Oyemere said about not being part of any arrangement in marriages. In a situation where you quoted extensively so many people like Robert in his report, where he feels that positive involvement of parents in marriages leads to something that may be more successful or long-lasting than others. Now, if in a situation where families strongly dislike a future partner or spouse, but you love the person him or her dearly. In a situation like that, love on one side and influence of the family on the other side. As a parent, what would you do? What would you be your? How would you tackle such a situation?
Well, the T, I was gonna highlight something based on what I said about the arranged marriages, and I think
you said positive involvement. Let us
positive
just
involvement. That's what I was gonna highlight. Let me just highlight that so you understand my point. You
Yeah.
know, the question was more about successful marriages. And when we went to in most indices, when people refer to success in marriages, it's about longevity. It's about longevity. It's about long lasting. And robots, like I said, anybody can go make a research on it. It is well cited. Everybody knows about that report. And what you should understand in that context as well is that having an enduring relationship, like you every day you endure situations that you was not meant to accept in the first place, just to be in the relationship, is quite different from just the overall success, like you having a successful, happy, joyful kind of marriage. That is a different. I'm just being a bit narrowed into the question you asked me. Yeah, so putting that aside, putting that on a different envelope, we come back to your question. And this question that you asked me is actually it's a deep and difficult question. And I will take my time, if you allow me, to be able to diagnose this question properly, because a lot of people, this is where people get confused between the personal autonomy, like what are you meant to do as an individual, or the other concept of what do I need to do who is now right? Is it me or is it my family? And it's a hard question. And most research have actually identified this as one of the most break or make of every marriages, depending on how it's being handled. Psychologists, they call this social network disapproval. And it boils down to this, what we call this societal canopy. Do I actually need them or do I not need them? But if you dive into it, and I cite you again, I cite you another report, another research by Juliana Holt, where he said in his report, it's an in-depth analysis of how these things actually piles out in already existing relationship. If you are indifferent with your family, according to what Juliana said, the risk of breakup in that relationship, it does not just exist in isolation. They are embedded in that social system. I don't know if you're getting my. It's like when
I follow what you're saying.
When there is fear already existing, and you're just waiting. It's like now. You know when I'm talking, I'm shouting now. It's like you have fear already stationed, and you're just looking for ignition. So in a already volatile situation where marriages is where you come in. Sometimes you are a bit vulnerable. Sometimes you are being open to anticipation. It's not predictable. You can't predict what the partner, because you may have an excellent partner today, and then the person turns up to become somebody else tomorrow. So you find it's a bit fragile as well. It's quite fragile. So it is better that you're on a good book with your family cycle before getting into that marriage. I think that is, if you put that as a big make or break of any relationship, then we can come back to that, to a better discussion. And when you go back and read about what this girl, what's his name, Judith, called in his elaborated details about what a good marriage is, you understand that sometimes the biggest mistakes that new couples make within the onset of a marriage is that they find it very difficult to separate emotions from evidence. And that is why sometimes that family scaffolding becomes necessary. Because what you can see is always the best part of this person. So sometimes that is why it's always good to listen to maybe your parents, or maybe it. And when you have these multiple independent reports, both from your family and from maybe from your friends, all of them cannot be wrong, and you think you are the only one right. And that is my personal advice, based on what information that is out there and how these things have actually piled out in the future. Because sometimes, like I said, people who are actually getting married, they are almost blindfolded by their emotional attachment, by this so-called love. Like, I love this guy, I love all this guy, that's all about it. They don't listen to the sounds, to the winds that is coming around that relationship, to the red flags that comes within it as well. This is where the family kicks in. But importantly, we have to also understand, we also put in mind that it's not just whatever. If your parents will give you a credible reasons why, not just because I don't like them. It's not up to them to like who you want to marry or who you don't want to marry. But that does not, take away that listening ears, to not just listen to yourself, but also to listen to people around you. And another thing that is also important, what you should do, is also you have to test the relationship under pressure. Because sometimes people think that the relationship is all about the fantasy, like, oh, we are having our honeymoon in Vegas and all of that. You cannot always live in Vegas. Some days you're going to sit down in the same house and have a contradicting argument with this your so-called love, and he will be looking like the devil. And that is reality. It's not just a one man's opinion or one man's reality. It's just everyday reality. So you don't just only look at the positive side of it, you also look at it from the other side of it. And not all families' opposition is wrong. Families can sometimes detect mismatch. They can detect personality red flags. And if you go to the Judith's this, and it keeps that, it pastes that those bit by bit and make you understand that it's not about the new Gen Z generation, that it's all about the metrics. How was it trending? It depends on what you're intending to have. If you want to have a sustainable, successful relationship, there are a lot of things that you have to do. You have to test the pressure. You have to also set out boundaries, not just to yourself, not just to you and your partners. You have to also set boundaries to your family. And these are boundaries that you and the family has to stop. And it's from that boundary that you will know if your parents are actually doing this for your own good. Are they just doing it for their own, for their own entertainment or something, or personal autonomy, not or for your own personal autonomy, sorry. So, having said that, like I've always said, like I've said in my opening remark, love on its own is not enough. And also family approval alone is still not enough. So a relationship must survive both love and the pressure for it to last. It doesn't matter if you are so much in love with this person, it has to test both the water and the rod for you to see that this relationship is very much predictable. So, Mr. T,
yeah,
family disliking who you want to marry can actually be an indication, but it can also be against your autonomy. So it's in between you being able to carefully evaluating or scrutinizing what this family is saying, being able to even get advices from somebody else, not just ruling it out. I'm an adult. I am old enough to make my decisions. Sometimes even the best of decisions sometimes can go wrong. Thank you, Mr. Talivide.
Thank you very much.
Can I add a bit?
Yeah, I'll ask you when I ask you. I think what I'm going to ask you is also tangential from what he said.
Okay.
My question to you, you know, uh, uh, in a situation where you've made your choice and then you're living with your spouse, and
Yeah.
then obviously, probably or obviously against the advisement or against the influence of your family, and along the line, situations come up. Do you think it is possible to continue to have a very, very open and happy marriage, knowing that you're estranged from your family because of the choice you made?
No, I didn't hear the second to the last one you said because somebody's making noise.
Okay, I'm asking you now.
Yeah.
In a situation where you are estranged from your family as a result of the decision you made concerning your spouse,
Yeah.
you are now you and your family are at loggerheads.
Yeah.
Do you think you could still have a successful marriage, even when in situations that could have brought your family into your marriage to help you sort out things? Do you still feel that you could have that because of the choices that you made?
Yeah, but anyway, I'm talking from the point of view of first-hand experience, and like I have practical experience as a married. I'm not talking from the point of view of Juliana or whatever research, because most of these researchers are just working on data, not evidence-based and practical experience. And some of them also have experience, but not an elaborate experience. But what I'm saying here is that parents, I said, a family is an integral part of marriage.
Yeah.
And that they are involved in marriage is not something bad. But when they are negatively involved in marriage, because some families can be too dictatorial. That's what I mean. And if you go through, I can still repeat those things, but it will take some time. If you go through what I've said, I started from the ancient time. This thing that happened from the ancient time is still playing a lot on the modern time. It's still playing out a lot. So why would my own decision, like, and before I continue, the problem is that to become a mature citizen in some cultures, you need to be 40 years and over. But also to become a mature citizen in another culture, you need to be 17, 18 years and just over. So there are different things. So it all depends on maturity. And when you see somebody who is 35 or somebody who is 30 getting into marriage, sometimes the culture still sees that person as a child who doesn't know anything and who doesn't even have experience. So those things are playing an enormous amount of a role in deciding what happens. A man who is 30 or 45 or 35 years should know what he wants. And a girl who is mature should know what they want. If my child says, I love this person and I want to marry her, the role I can play, because the family is integral, I can guide based on the expectations and responsibilities of marriage, because I have the experience. I can guide based on providing advice based on how you can balance personal and collective life, and also how you can do this in the family, how you can do that. But it is not in my authority to say, because I hate somebody, that that person, remember, I'm talking from the point of view of something mentioned, because I hate that person, that means that I don't want you to marry that person. If you go through all those incidents that happened that way, it usually ended up in a negative way, because there are certain laws, and because we are not we're not bound by the rule of law, and that's also why anything can happen in some context. And on the other side, anything can happen. The law, and you might find somebody who okay, there was a time in our culture, for example, whereby to marry you have to be if you're the first daughter, before the other subsequent daughters should marry, the first daughter must marry. Look at this thinking, and then you ask, why should the other girls wait? This is just the logical line. Why should the other girls wait for the first daughter to marry? But it's cultural, and people are respecting this thing. What if somebody comes into a family and likes the second daughter? What if somebody comes into a family and likes the fourth daughter? Does it mean that they're going to wait until the first daughter marries? This is just cultural thing. But one thing about culture is that culture is not static. Culture is dynamic. There's always going to be a change for good thing. So if you try to guide them as parents, watch but your own role should be a blessing type. I am not the one that's going to define or tell my sister, because if I begin, or tell my daughter, if I begin to do this, then I'm aligning with the old area of selecting, because those people are always selective. They will check your family and say, they will think that maybe the person is going to take you to London. They would think, first of all, say, oh, why taking her to London? If you take her to London, she will have opportunity. But because there's no love. If you take her to Sweden, the person will have opportunity. Of course, why wouldn't I take my wife to London or to Sweden? She must have the opportunity because we love each other. And I'm not putting in negative thing. It's not about what Juliana writes for me, using some data that's not even representative of every culture that I'm going to be accepting. But now, if we see, based on what our brother was saying, he was saying that the fuel, the ignition, you can turn the ignition. He mentioned something about the ignition, turning the ignition. But I can tell you, if the engine of any car and the gearbox of any car is not in good order, no matter how you turn the ignition, it will never start. I said, even when there's a sign in the car, when you see that fuel sign that the fuel is finished, do you know that you can still drive a car for a couple of kilometers before it stops? Meaning that fuel is not the important thing, is the engine and gearbox of love. If you love somebody, I'm telling you, you can sacrifice anything for that person you love. Everything we build in marriage, everything is built around love. But if there's no love, even when you go to church, all the weddings we've had, we don't even know why they will say at a point you will say I love you, and then the person will reciprocate I love you. Those things are playing bigger role than what we're saying. And then again they will say kiss. Do you think you can just kiss somebody who you don't, although people normally kiss, but before you kiss somebody in the real sense, you must have feelings for that person. So normally it depends on what people want. Are you going in for transactional marriage? I call it transactional marriage before when we talk about marriage. Are you going for transactional marriage, whereby you're focusing on assets, you're focusing on inheritance, you're focusing on what you can gain from marriage, rather than focusing on building the person? I want my child to build the family that she's getting into. I don't need any money from my child. I want that child to build the family she's getting into. If she loves the person she's married to, I want them to build together. I don't need anybody to give me any money, because I have my hands and my head and my leg. These things are some of the things that are causing problems. When you are not focusing on the real issue of marriage, and then when somebody picks somebody for you, then you begin to see that person from the lens of another thing, not from the lens of love. So, although that in some cases one can say that love is not enough, but the question is, have you ever fallen in love with somebody in the real sense? If you've ever fallen in love, you can understand why somebody will go as far as a fictional character they showed to us, why somebody will go as far as drinking something to kill herself just because of love. Although that this modern time, a lot of fake loves exist out there, and it's difficult to actually know when somebody loves you. If a man loves a woman and he knows that that woman loves him, I, as a parent, will never want to play any dirty role to stop that marriage. I will encourage them. I will guide them with specific guidance and specific information that will help that marriage to grow. But if they are not married in love, when I am no longer alive, it's even going to be a shame on me, because those in many cases, the children always say a lot of bad things against the people who deterred or who caused a couple of issues for them not to marry. If somebody doesn't love each other, and you see that they don't love each other, you can come in and say, oh, there's no love. Oh, you see the way I'm talking? It's not like you're forcing yourself into the relationship. You don't have any legal right. And we have what we call a fundamental way of seeing our human rights, because most of the time, we parents are breaching the fundamental human rights of our children without even knowing. And when people see the reaction from the Western world, they begin to say that this person is not stubborn. This person is not because of that. It's because we tend to be overbearing sometimes in the way we approach things, but we don't have to be. These children have their own legal rights and their own constitutional rights in consideration to what the person they choose. Whatever they choose is their choice. But if they choose a criminal, for example, and if they choose somebody who is involved in social vices, the only thing you can tell the person is that look at what is happening. Look at you highlight the advantage and disadvantage, but you're not going to stop it. Because some people are even married, still married to criminals. because of that love. I'm telling you, some people are married to a whole lot of, but when it's not, marriage is not guided by love, a lot of things can happen. Let's look at a mistake of the new new couple based on emotion. If you look at England now, there was a workshop we went to in London, and the issue about that workshop, I didn't want to come out in camera because it was very, very traumatic. A whole people from one part of Nigeria, a lot of ladies from one part of Nigeria were called together and were giving some pieces of advice by a couple of policemen. So the particular policeman that is speaking directly to them is from their side in Nigeria, and then when he speaks to them in their language, then the police will translate to the other police in English. What were they speaking about? All the ladies were saying that they divorced their husband because the society the system says that they're going to pay them, and they're paying them. But now they are regretting. They want to go back to their husbands again because they realize that what they've done is bad. And one particular lady was saying, "I love my husband. I'm ready to pay the price, and I feel so bad because I was deceived into this." So it's all about information, and then also what you know at that particular time. But when it comes to people loving themselves, everybody knows what is love. You might deny it, and we might begin to say love and the evidence and all of those things. We know what is love when we say it. We don't want to deny it. So when you see that people are in love, even as an elder, you will see it working. So your own role, and as a father, is to guide them, to bless them, and not to come into their marriage and try to decide who they get married to or not. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Oyemere. Thank you. That was a good one. Very, very elaborate. Thank you. Mr. Nadi, this one goes to you. Hello, Mr. Nadi, are you there?
Yeah, I can hear you, DT.
We've seen a whole lot of movement from the ancient times. Even in the Bible said that he who findeth a wife findeth a good thing. But also in the Bible, there were so many arranged marriages in the Bible. Like Gideon getting married to, Jacob getting married to the two sisters, These were some part of the arrangement because the mother specifically sent him there. Now, I want to ask you, over the years, do you think that these things have changed? Do you think that time and space have happened on marriages, that the influences of family is now being toned down?
Well, DT, thank you very much. I was gonna let me touch a little bit on what my brother Oyemere said about this love as being the brain of. I'm not disagreeing with him, but I'm just want to go a different direction because I think that is in most cases overemphasized. People overemphasize this concept of love as if it holds those big keys that determines if a marriage fails or not. But it's not actually true. And these have been proven over and over and over and over and over again. There are a lot of things that actually are the pillar of sustainable marriages. It's not love. Love is not in any of it. One of it is how you manage conflict. That is one of the biggest one. Communications, all of that. Having a shared value. You have something. We have to understand whether you want to agree with me or not, Mr. T. Marriage has got some transaction on it, regardless of if you're blinded by whatever love or whatever thing that you want to refer it to. And researchers have actually even dived into this conversation as well. Helen Fisher, go and read about Helen Fisher's report. It tells that when people on early engagement activate love, I'm looking for who I love. In certain marriages, it's the same activation as addiction. When people get addicted, and addiction is always a horrible thing. That people are quick to do things that they could have done for a long time, stretched for a longer time to be able to understand those things properly before they fully engage themselves in it. And talk about Allen Hartfield. Go and read about Allen Hartfield as well, where he says that this kind of passionate loves, it declines over time. Like, I love this guy so much. If it's all about love without understanding the logistics, there are logistics in marriage. There are a lot of logistics, and this is part of what I want to. I'm going into in this question that you asked me about the historical background to what marriages is. This is not Nollywood. It's not. Marriage is not Nollywood. All these things that you see in Nollywood, they are all fictions. When reality comes, it's totally different. It's totally different. When those logistics start kicking in, when that misunderstanding comes in the middle of the night, you will not remember you ever loved this person. I can tell you 100%. You will never. That man that was the heaven and earth before will become the devil and earth in the world. So that conflict management, being able to get to that maturity level that you understand that you have to understand your partner, that you have to, that is not just about how I feel, it's about a mutual understanding of the whole scenario. So going back to what you're saying, the logistics of marriage have always strived from the power aspect of it, which part of Onyemere have stretched a little bit, and survival. People actually sometimes depend on marriages for survival, and this is where a lot of the Africans are getting it wrong. You know, I was talking to a person, and we were having this extensive conversation about how women, the setting of marriages is back home in Africa. I mean, back in the days, at least we can evolve, but we have to evolve according to our own trajectories. We have to evolve according to our own system, being able to evolve around it, evolving around our survival, not just a quick evolving, like we just from a situation where we used to have women on this stage, and then we want to evolve to the other to become even better than the Western society or individualistic kind of society. So this survival attribute of these marriages is part of what Onyemere mentioned about how society survives. Because if you come in a society where there is some kind of economic hardship, where the kind of environment, the kind of economic activities in that kind of environment is a bit hostile to women, like in a place where things have not been industrialized, where women can have good places where they're having offices, and where most of the jobs are men dominated, where that ecosystem is not in existence. When marriage is all about personal autonomy, it conflicts, because what it ends up is a situation where I don't know how to explain it, because to have a stable family, you have to have certain finance on it. When a woman cannot be able to afford those things, they need a man that will be able to, for those things to balance. Otherwise, you'll be in a relationship where there's lack. And when there is consistent lack in the relationship, you know them things, sometimes it started tampering the temperaments of human. Like when you cannot afford the basic needs, sometimes it changes your mood in the morning, it changes your utterances in the afternoon, regardless of how much love you have in the person. We can go back to history and tell, love only started existing in the concept of marriage in the 18th and 20th century. There wasn't anything about love before. If you want to marry, your parents chooses, like you mentioned in the Bible, they'll tell you, some people use that for political or strategical things like that. They just allocate you to some. But I'm not in any way trying to say that love is not important in a relationship. But the point I'm trying to say is when we want to center everything about love. Love is important. It's a good component of every relationship. But we have to also look at other things, the logistics. I was talking to somebody, one of my friends, about there is a friend of mine who wants to go back to Nigeria and marry. I said to him, it's a good thing that you have a relationship in Nigeria, that you want to go back and marry. It's good. But you have to also look at logistics. This is sensible, realistic things. It's not Nollywood. It's not like at the end of that movie, you find out that the man become rich. How? How did you become rich? You have to know that these are not just going to come magically. You have to put the foot on the ground. And for you to do that, every indices that is falling against you is going to be an odd. It can either go either way. It can either go positive or go negative. So if you are thinking of getting married to somebody, you have to also look at the logistics of it as well. That logistics is the mutual value. If you guys have something in common, if you have a certain mindset in common that you are go-getters together, that is what actually fosters. That is part of the things that will help that relationship to move even further. That you guys have the same emotion, that your intent in life, what your determinations in life is somehow related. Not somebody who wants to build houses for his family in the village and you want to build in the city. There must be clashes. Or somebody who has not had a certain level that you have to go all the way down to pick him to your level, is gonna tamper the relationship. These are those indices that I'm trying to mention. But Mr. T, let me not go too far. Let me not go too far.
Well, can I add something?
Thank you. I'll ask you. There's a comment here. Onyema, you can add your stuff when you've read that, by Kingsley Eze. He made 2 contributions here.
Yeah.
You could just go through the 2, then add up with what you want to say.
The T, Mr. This historian Stephen Contest.
Yeah.
He authored one book they called Marriage and a History. He explained how marriage is about.
Mr. Nade, my question is to Onyema, not you now.
No, I'm not finished. Okay, let me leave it. I'm not finished. Oh, let me leave it there. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, anyway, it comes down to what I was saying before. I said that families are integral part of marriage. But now, getting involved, we're talking about should families influence who we marry? And in the olden time, I specifically pointed out how these things has moved in time to define what the modern era is all about. Because the modern era is all about mutual respect and mutual consent and personal fulfillment and all of those things. If somebody doesn't see this in a marriage in this modern time, it doesn't matter what happened. What people are going to be looking at is that I don't see all these things. Whether the person, because there are different types of loves. Somebody can there's also according to what somebody mentioned here. You see, somebody can. There's also this transactional love. Somebody can love you without even loving you. Somebody can pretend. It has happened in many marriages. We're talking about marriage. We're not talking about marriage. Is that relationship, long-term relationship? We're not talking about the foundation of every marriage is love, and every other thing you're going to build on love, whether you're going to resolve conflict, whether you're going to do any logistic, whether you're going to do any other thing, falls on that foundation, which is love. You cannot build anything unless that partner, or who might be your wife, is looking at your property to inherit. Just like something like this lady did. What is it? There's a senator in Nigeria who got married to somebody else, much younger. It is a transactional marriage, and we saw how it happens. But inside that girl's heart, the girl doesn't love the man, irrespective of the fact that the man has got everything for the girl to inherit. So, but if there's a foundation, if there's a foundational bedrock where you're going to build all those logistics, where you're going to build all, when conflict is always going to arise in every marriage, but there are ways. I can also say that conflict might not arise depending on the way you have the orientation. And if the orientation, we're talking about people who are 30, no, brother, I don't understand this type of thinking. We're talking about somebody who is 35 years and somebody who is 27 years. If somebody who is 35 years and somebody who is 30 years says that they're going to marry and they love each other, and they're coming to tell me Honestly, this is completely unbelievable. You know, a man of 5 years, if you see that same particular man in America or England or anywhere in Europe, you'll be wondering whether the man is 70 years in Nigeria. I'm telling the truth. It's because of that cultural development. Most marriages that are having problems is because of that transactional nature. And when there's a transactional nature in the marriage, it's always going to be about come and take, not give. Love is give and take. You don't take only in love, you give and take. But then whether our family are going to influence, because the main question is whether they're going to influence, they are part of the family. The family is always going to have impact, but as long as that impact is respectful and protective and supportive of the couple, that is acceptable. But when that impact or influence comes against the fundamental rights of those couple, that is illegal in every law. And because most people don't know this, anything can happen. And normally, I have seen a situation whereby, I said it before, I've seen a situation whereby two people are in love. In that's also cultural perspective. Two people are in love in the Western world. We talked about it earlier. And then this person is in love with somebody maybe from Ghana or maybe from Congo. They're in love, they mature, everything, they're ready, they're right for marriage. But because of those influence, the mother or the father might call the son or might call the daughter and say, oh, because they come from Sierra Leone or because they come from Congo, you cannot marry. But then you have to come back home to marry. That's also cultural influence, because the influence comes in different ways. So, but when we talk about early marriage, when somebody is 17 years or 16 years and saying that they fall in love, they might still fall in love, but that's also a different ballgame, because that person is still in the age of puberty. But when that person gets to 18 years of mature age in legal atmosphere, you need to guide the person. But because our 18 years old culture, our 40 years old person in our culture is still regarded as a youth. So anything can happen. Even 60 years, to some extent, 50, 55, 60 years are still regarded as youth in our culture. And this is just bizarre. So because of that thinking, they always see somebody who is 24 or 25 or 30 or 32 as a small child. They will even tell you, this small boy or this small girl. This is cultural orientation. But we need to be reorientating and be aware of what is going on. If as a parent, you get involved for the prosperity and the success of the marriage, rather than to stop that thing, somebody they have accepted. If somebody is 24, 25, you can tell, it's your right to tell your child, okay, you need to get education, you need to do this, you need to do that before you marry. And when somebody comes in and say, I love this person, the person says, I love, and you see that this person is not a bad person. This person has got a reputation, and this person has got this. It mustn't be about money. It mustn't be about money, because one of the things our culture tend to forget, which is also very, very, very surprising, is that we tend to forget that a woman can build a man if that woman loves that man. It's not just about man building a woman, because we're in the modern world, and many women have built a man. And this, even the women that have moved from our own country to this particular side in terms of getting married, this thing happens when the woman involved is in love with you. The only interest, the only this logistics, and the only this all of those things that somebody could be bearing, or somebody could be harboring, or somebody could be containing, is because if they think that, oh, the person is going to die, the person is going to do this, I'm going to inherit the property, then that is also good. So what the person is also saying, that in terms of value system, the value system depends on how you see yourself built in a Western world. In a Western world where it is everybody's right to choose who they want, although that in a different way, people are manipulating and using that opportunity wrongly. Somebody can claim they have done it even to our basketball players, and even to our football players, and even to most of our brothers who are rich in the Western world. Somebody can decide to just pretend that they love you, but they don't love you. The moment they come into your life, and from the moment they come into your life to 2 months and 3 months and 1 year and 2 years, you begin to see that the next line of option is divorce or separation. I remember that I told you that in the modern marriage, we acknowledge and accept a change in marriage, because there's a change in marriage now, and the option of this change is about separation and about divorce. It's not as if we want this, but it's happening more than before. And the reason why it's happening more than before is because most people were caged. Most people were caged. A lot of people don't even know their rights and lefts in the olden time. They were caged, and whatever you do amounts to a community or social taboo. So because of that thing, they continue. Who is making noise? Because of that thing, they have continued to mold the mindset of people that if you have to marry somebody because you have to inherit something. I don't want to marry because I'm going to inherit something. I want to marry because we love each other and we're going to build. We agree. We are going to build, because building. If most of the ladies that came from our culture to the Western world, if you check most of them, and let's say a lot of them are earning more than their husband. I'm telling you this, a practical truth. A lot of them are earning because they have now come to a place where it's not just about saying that it's a logistic in marriage or whatever in marriage. It's about saying that these opportunities for both of you, that you can swim and drink in this opportunity. That opportunity is endless, because opportunities, people lack opportunities there, so anything can happen. That's why somebody can just move here and say, I'm looking for a nurse, I'm looking for a lawyer, I'm looking for this, and in the end they will marry those nurses, they will marry those lawyers. But at the end of the day, what happens? But it's not always all the time that something happens. Sometimes some of them, like I said, arranged marriage, some of them have stood the test of time. But in terms of value system, when somebody's 35 years and the girl is 25 or 27 or 30 or 32 or 34, I am not in that position to start determining what kind of value system suits them, because they are mature enough to know what they want. And if they really love themselves, my own participation, irrespective of whatever, is just going to guide them in a supportive way, to guide them in a protective way, and to bless them. But the survivor mindset is also about people who are into transactional marriage. Transactional marriage abound all over the places, and the transactional marriage is that even if you're 30, even if you're 70 years, I'm ready to love you, as long as I'm seeing some things that I can get from you. That is a whole transactional, and that is not truthful, and that is not honest. And in the end, we've also seen a situation whereby people of 70 years have married ladies of 25 years, 30 years. That is purely transactional. We know it is either the person is going to get power, it's either the person is going to get a whole lot of estates. But that is different. We're talking about influencing marriage. Should we influence this marriage? We parents, we should guide them, we should protect them, we should give them good advice, but we don't have the legal right to influence it negatively. And love in early marriage is different. Everything about marriage, I always say that marriage is unique. I cannot use my marriage and compare to another person, but we can make general statement. It depends on the orientation. It depends on how close you are with the person. If you have already set up a mindset that I am getting into this marriage because of transactional means, it's also going to end up in that way, because our mindset guides all our actions. So, but if you have found somebody
you can drop
love,
it now.
No, I'm dropping it. If you have found somebody you love, and whether the person is a governor's child can also love somebody who is out there, but because of the way we structure things out there, it's kind of social taboo for a governor's child to love just an others, even though these other people are the ones voting for the governors. But because of the fact that they have followed the ancient way of marriage, which is solely bent on that mutual way of transferring wealth and transaction to them. Although the marriages can have temptations, but if there is love in that marriage, whatever thing you're going to do to solve that issue is going to start from the foundation of love. What kind of love exists in this marriage? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Onyemere. Thank you very much. Mr. Nadi, are you there?
Yeah. Did you try?
Yeah. You're well, of course. I just want you to speak to Pleasure Mom. Pleasure Mom made some
I can't see any comments, to be honest. You have to read it out for me, please.
Okay, Pleasure Mom said the truth is that age and time, most marriages are transactional. Whether we believe it or not, a lot of crazy things happen in relationships. Therefore, for the choice of a life partner in this age, I will make suggestions and provide guidance for my offsprings. The final decision is theirs to make. Sometimes the younger ones think they are in love, thereby making lifelong mistakes. Love is always not enough. Then I agree with Mr. Nadi. The concept of love is overemphasized. Marriage is mainly transactional. If you get involved with a partner whose value do not align with yours, then you will understand that real marriage is not Nollywood. When there is mutuality, two parallel lines without a point of meeting, the so-called love disappears. Then finally, she said, if you marry someone who has the same value system as yours, physically, mentally, and financially ready for marriage, that's the most fertile ground for love. Flip it around, and what you thought is love turns to wolves. And finally, I think she said it doesn't always have to be inheritance. Two persons have to agree, have a common goal and mindset before they can grow together. Two young persons with prospect, well guided, can grow together. Look around today. Look around today's world and see for yourself. So those are the comments.
Well, I don't think I have any more thing to add, but just a bit, just to kind of flavor it a bit more. And maybe one day, because I have a full method and I can test it with anybody and it will bring the same result each time I test it, to prove to you that love, I'm not saying it's not important, it is important. But I can ask you one question, like a fishbone analysis. I can give you a fishbone analysis that will ask you why is this and then why is that? Why is this and why is that? You find out you yourself will be the one to tell me, oh, I didn't know it. Because at the end of the day, if I should go and love a criminal, if I should go and love somebody, because somebody can deceive you that they love you. Maybe somebody will come to your child now. We've seen countless stories about how people, I don't know if you have watched this movie about Runaway. It's one interesting movie that I recommend for anybody to go and watch, where an abuser was, at a certain point, he was arranging people to come and rape somebody, rape a girlfriend that he was presenting as a girlfriend. He arranged friends from behind to come and rape that girl and still make the girl guilty of that same thing, and the girl will still love him. In fact, the family was trying to rescue the girl from that boy. The girl himself was fighting the family. It's a terrible story. So this girl was truly in love. Just like Helen Fisher mentioned it, it's like addiction. You're just being addicted. You're not being reasonable. There is nothing actually wrong from you being open-minded to look for somebody who thinks like you, whose life mission aligns with your own life mission. This is the only thing that, I'm not saying 100%. It's not, there's nothing 100% in marriage. It's something that is predictable, something that you can predict, something that you can say that if this guy wants children, this guy loves looking after children, and the girl likes children as well, that this combination will work. Now, things can change, but we know that. But if these people have similar kind of interests, this is why I was reading about something as well. This is why in most dating sites, is they always add this, what is your hobbies? Because they know that it's through these hobbies that you know somebody who is aligned to your own system, the same way you think, the way you see things. So, leaving what our sister Pressure Mom have said, I don't think I need anything. I don't need to add anything to it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll leave it there.
Mary, can you just give us your last? We already extended our time. Can you just
When,
in a 1 or 2 minutes say what you want to say, then conclude in 1 or 2 minutes?
yeah, thank you for the time. Like I said, marriage should be based on free mutual consent between the couple involved. And I just want to say that, contrary to the views of our brother, in terms of alignment in values and alignment logistics, who should decide or determine what kind of alignment exists between two couples? Is it the couple or the parents? And we're talking about not influencing them. Whatever aligns with between somebody and the person they are going to marry is supposed to be their own thing and not the thing of any other person. The moment the parents begin to influence as to what aligns or what kind of values, that is also going to amount to negative influence. So whatever aligns with the value should be their own discussion. And they are also old enough to know whether they align together or they don't align. The first foundation in marriage should be love. It's not about any logistic or any other transactional thing. If you don't have good feelings of love towards somebody, there is nothing that can be built to succeed and to be sustainable. And as long as family is an integral part of marriage, their own influence should be supportive, should be protective, and should be respectful of the fundamental rights of the couple involved in marriage. Any other destructive or restrictive or coercive influence is not acceptable. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Anyamari. Mr. Nadi, your last.
Well, it's always good how sometimes we go vice versa. It makes the topic even more flavored. Well, my last is both social, psychologically, anthropology have their stake in all of this. Marriage is actually an investment, both emotional, physical, and whatever you want to mention. It is not an emotional gamble, which love is, where you feel good today and then you feel bad tomorrow. It's an investment. So you need a lot of things combined together to be able to build it successfully. And so for some of us, mostly us young people, sometimes we find it that these old men and women, they're not really important. But some of these things, some of these patterns that we are blinded based on the metrics, the trend that is happening in society, this can be spotted by our families. And this is why I encourage everybody, I invite anybody, young or old, if you want to get involved in marriage, don't just look at it from just your own lens. Try to revolve around other people. Seek their opinion. Listen to other people, not just what your ears is telling you. Because like I said, sometimes the best of your decision sometimes can actually still go wrong. So I'll leave it there. Thank you, Mr. T. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, guys. That's been a very, very entertaining one. Judging by the number of views and contributions we've had, people have really contributed and chimed in with what they think about this topic. And I just want to thank you guys for having done justice to it. You've done your due diligence. For me, I think marriage has evolved from the time of old and up till now. I think it is about time now that love is beginning to gain prominence in love. Before, it used to be arranged. Marriages were arranged, but now love is increasingly having its way in what we do. It's not a bad thing. At the same time, that steady hand of the old is also needed to guide people into that marriage. It's something you've never been in before. It is something you've never tested before. You could be in a relationship 10 years, 20 years, but once it is that once you enter that cubicle called love or called marriage, then you now see that it is not what it was outside that you're seeing on the inside. So, but the issue is now how to find the fine line, the fine point, the balance between the influence of the old and then the place of love in what we do. It is only when you want to throw away the bin that you begin to look for that old basket. So it is always important when you want to get in there. You can always ask questions. I was asking one guy the other day. He said he wanted to travel. He's somewhere in one of the African countries. He said he wanted to travel, and he gave in the order where he wanted to go. He said Canada, Germany, and then the UK. I said, have you done your due diligence? Have you researched about these countries? You need to ask questions. You need to make sure that you even have somebody on ground who can help you when eventually you get into any of those countries. These are some of the information you need, except that you can come in there even with a valid visa. And before you know it, you're thrown back into the plane, back to where you're coming from, because you need somebody who's been in there to guide you, to walk you through some of the rough patches. So the same thing is applicable to marriage. You need the hand of the old to guide you. You need the experience, you need the wisdom, and you need the knowledge of the old to be able to guide you. In as much as there's a balance, there's a point to where they come, and it wouldn't, it will be overbearing. So for those of us out there who are parents, and for those of us out there who are getting ready to get into this marital institution, it is important to, while you have your hand on the levers of love, you also have your hand on the levers of experience and wisdom.
And guiding them positively is very important.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Guiding them positively. Your parents, I wouldn't know a parent or a family who would want to lead somebody into where he will not come out from, or where he wouldn't want to feel successful when he gets in there. But it's the world, anything can happen. But I know that when you are talking about wisdom, you are talking about the wisdom that will guide you to where you eventually have a successful and very, very happy and enjoyable marriage. So having said that, for all of you out there who are raring to go into this institution, there is need for you to not just depend on love, because it can, like Pleasure Mom said, when the push comes to shove, it can turn to a whole different thing altogether. And at the same time, it is not enough. So you need to have that experience, to make you be able to walk through what it is that you want to achieve at the end of the day. So having said that, we want to thank you guys for hard truth. Love as a bedrock of marriage is tantamount to emotional gambling. Look well. Thank you very much. Pleasure, Mom. So with that, we are bearing this. We are taking.
Can also be countered. Can also be countered properly.
Yeah. We are taking it. We are laying this topic to bed today, and I just want to thank you guys for having left everything on the floor of the studio. Thank you very much. Until we come your way again, and for all those who out there who supported us throughout this podcast, we want to thank you. We have Dr. Angel Ifi, we have a Pleasure Mom, Ndubisi Eze, Godwin, Gideon Agu, Mrs. Ife Inwawafo, and Ijoma Jennifer, Pali Sentence, Zerubbabel Zadok, Uche Samuel, and we have Mr. Kinsley Eze. Thank you guys for having stayed with us and for your contributions. And until we come your way again next week, it is all hearts from us to all of you guys. Thank you, and have a wonderful week ahead of you. Bye.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. Take care. Yeah. See you around.
Thank you, Mr. T. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, guys.